be on Saturday, October 2nd in Olympia. And you can look for a sign-up sheet tonight and next week. And I just, again, want to encourage you to sign up for that and be a part of that. And we can carpool all up together um, and just get connected with others and encourage one another that way. Well, Art Rohrheim, the founder of AWANA, used to say, let's always make sure we keep the first thing first. And the first thing in AWANA is the gospel. Sharing the gospel is very important, and it's important that we do it each week. The reason is that head knowledge doesn't always equal heart knowledge. You may already know this, but the main focus of AWANA, as I mentioned, is the gospel. So if club is being run well, the gospel is going to be presented to clubbers frequently. And because the gospel is so central to the AWANA ministry, and it should be for any children's ministry, you need to be able to share it. You need to be able to share it. Yes, you. In a clear and concise gospel presentation. Even if you never speak in large group time, and I hope you'll at least all try it once and encourage your directors this way, you'll talk with young people one-on-one, and you really need to have the skills so that it becomes a natural thing for you and not a burden. One tool that AWANA has produced to do this is called the Gospel Wheel. It's just a simple, effective tool designed to present the gospel to a postmodern person. I could explain it here, but I would bore you, and it would be much more easy to watch it on a short video. You can find it on YouTube by searching for how to use the Gospel Wheel. That's just a simple YouTube search, again, how to use the Gospel Wheel. There's two ingredients that'll keep kids coming back to AWANA, and I learned this years ago from one of the original AWANA clubbers back in the original Chicago club. He said the two things that'll keep kids coming back are love and fun. They want to be loved and they want to have fun. So how do kids know that you love them? Well, I kind of talked about this in relation to the shepherding. I'll add some additional summary thoughts here. You make time to pray for them. You make time to call them each week and encourage them. You follow up on the prayer requests that they've given you. You give them quality time. You give them words of affirmation, maybe a pat on the shoulder, whatever that might look like. And also, you discipline them. Yes, I said discipline. No, we don't punish in AWANA, okay? Discipline in AWANA demonstrates love, and it allows for fun. There are different books on this. I mentioned one earlier, Dare to Discipline by Dobson. There's another called Discipline Them, Love Them. What discipline does is allows for equity and achievement standards. There's no disparity. And it provides boundaries for us. Maybe some of you have read the Boundaries with Books, Boundaries with Kids book, or just maybe you've read Boundaries with Adults. The concepts are similar, but boundaries equate to love. In AWANA, we have discipline, we have common standards, as I mentioned, for handbook achievement, and those are 2 helps per section. For Sparks and TAT, a motivator in that regard is to give them 1 AWANA buck per section completed. I want to move on to some of the staff duties and responsibilities, so just you understand where your role fits and what you're doing during the club night. For me as the ministry director or the commander, I'm looking and listening for needs to provide resources for you and for the directors. I observe the activities in each club in the large group time, the small group time, try to connect with the clubbers as much as practical without disrupting what you're doing with them. I communicate new procedures or things with the clubbers, the staff, the parents, either verbally or via weekly emails and flyers, registration forms, and things like that. Your directors are monitoring the groups during all the segments to ensure you're enforcing the standards. They sometimes are assigning rows for the kids to sit in during handbook or during their handbook time or during their large group time. They're correcting or counseling leaders who aren't maintaining the standards with their group, and they model and communicate the expected behaviors to you and the clubbers. As leaders, you're reviewing the standards in the handbook with the kids the first night. You're reviewing the standards with the entire handbook group whenever a new person joins your group, and that includes visitors. You're going to sit with your handbook group during large group time, and the other things that I mentioned above about connecting with them, praying from those things. You're going to model and communicate the expected behavior. For instance, you're not going to be getting up, you're going to avoid getting up and walking out to use the restroom during the large group time, something like that. Helping out during the game time. And you're going to correct behavior that fails to meet the standards that we have in a positive manner. And you'll use the 3-count system where that's appropriate. I'll talk about that a little bit later. In our club, we have some basic behavior standards. One is to respect God and to respect His Word. This just simply means we listen when someone's teaching, when they're reading the Bible, or when they're praying. 2, we respect the leaders and the directors. This means we listen when an adult is talking, we participate, and we do as we're instructed. And the 3rd is to respect each other. This means we keep our hands and our feet to ourselves, and we refrain from being a distraction. So it's very simple. Respect God and His Word, we respect the leaders and the directors, and we respect each other. In AWANA, we try to use positive reinforcement and not punishment, as mentioned above or earlier. Positive reinforcement is words of encouragement, maybe a gentle touch or a redirection of energy. I'm sure you can think of other things that you have used or use in club or maybe with your own children. I mentioned the 3-count a minute ago. That's a common procedure for correcting behavior when we need to. For the first offense, it kind of depends where you go with this, but if it's something that just requires a verbal warning, that's all you need to do, but you only give one verbal warning. It may be something that's so obvious you need to move to the next step, but you encourage the correct behavior and you'll remind them of the 3-count. The second offense would be what we call a 1-count, and at that point you'd notify, if you're not the leader, you would notify the clubber's leader and or their director. The third offense would be a 2-count, and the 4th time, and that's when we get the director involved and to counsel the clubber. And the last is the 3-count, and that's when they get to come and talk to me or maybe a pastor. You might have a child that has some special needs and you wonder, how am I supposed to address that? If there are food allergies or things like that, they should be listed in the registration form, and you should get that information from your director, who gets it from our club secretary, Paula. Some kids might be ADHD or ADD or RAD. That might not be listed in their information, but hopefully it is. And again, you can get information on that. If Naomi is here tonight, I'm hoping she'll be able to take a couple minutes when I'm finished and just mention that about how to work with kids who have RAD, and she's very good and understands that. I want to talk about relationship building in our purpose to know, love, and serve the Lord Jesus Christ, and building kids to do that. Again, we need to get to know the kids. We need to get to know their needs. We need to get to know their families. Introduce yourself to their parents. Call them each week and ask them how you can pray for them again. And then do pray for them. Show genuine interest in them. When you come to club, be on time or be early. Wear your uniform. That helps maintain camaraderie and discipline as well. Most importantly, wear a smile. I know I struggle with that myself. Be above reproach. Philippians 2:14 and 15 says, "Do all things without grumbling or disputing, so that you'll prove yourselves to be blameless and innocent, children of God, above reproach, in the midst of a crooked and perverse generation, among whom you appear as lights to the world." And that's what we want to be. Give yourself an attitude check before you walk in the door at club. Well, our scheduling is going to change a little bit this year, so we're going to go back to where we were 2 years ago. So on the first segment of the club night, we'll have the opening segment from 6:20 to 6:30 with the Sparks and the TNT in the sanctuary. Cubbies will be in their room downstairs doing that. The TNT will go to game time. The Sparks will go to handbook time. The second segment, the TNT will come back in for their large group time in the sanctuary, and the Sparks will go to the gym for their game time. And then in the last segment, the TNTers will be in their handbook groups, their small group books, and the Sparks will be in the council or in the sanctuary for their large group time, and that's where the parents will come and pick them up right there in the sanctuary. So for Sparks, the parents will pick them up and drop them off at the sanctuary, and for TNT, they'll drop them off in the sanctuary and then pick them up in their classrooms. And we'll be finding out more about those tonight and in the following week. Well, I hope you have a great time with your directors tonight. Again, I'm sorry I'm not there with you. God bless you, and I look forward to seeing you on the 15th.